Okay, this whole video is going to map out or explain the anti-exosome diet and what foods to eat to try to prevent exosomes, because this is critical. Once exosomes form uh, and the tumors get them, it can cause extreme havoc on the immune system and the whole body, and allowing cancer cells to spread. I'm going to explain RAB27's dietary sensitivity, and also RAB27's primary role is MVB docking and exosome secretion at the plasma membrane. So instead of the MVBs, so MVBs are sacs that contain the exosomes. The MVBs could have fused to the lysosome, but in some scenarios, it fuses to the plasma membrane. That fusion leads to the tumors getting the exosomes. But if the MVBs fused to the lysosomes, the tumors won't get the exosomes. So I'm going to be talking about some foods that impair RAB27 docking, since that is RAB27's primary role. And some of those foods are uh, beans, flax, and oats. They lower cholesterol. This is critical because RAB27 is actually sensitive to plasma membrane cholesterol, as well as sensitive to lysosomal cholesterol load and actin availability. So with those foods that I just mentioned, that by reducing cholesterol, because those foods reduce cholesterol, that also reduces plasma membrane microdomain cholesterol, leading to impaired RAB27 docking. So since the plasma membranes are lower in cholesterol, it makes it more difficult or harder for the RAB27 to dock, because it's like making like, so no cholesterol, lower cholesterol in the plasma membrane. uh, it could create a situation where there is nowhere for the RAB27 to dock, therefore no way for the exosomes to unload onto the plasma membrane for the tumors to get the exosomes. Mushrooms, they also could contain beta glucans and ergothioneine. These can activate autophagy via AMPK, also reducing mTOR inhibition, because mTOR is a growth factor. Um, so what autophagy activation does is that it increases lysosomal degradation and not exosome release, which is critical and a good thing. So, since lysosomes are responsible for degrading exosomes, and so that the tumor doesn't receive the exosomes, so mushrooms, they might reduce extracellular exosome release by pushing cargo toward degradation. Now that's critical. Next food here is cacao, has a polyphenols such as procyanidins, mild AMPK activation, uh, therefore leading to autophagy, because AMPK increases autophagy. There are some things that can reduce AMPK though, such as acetyl CoA and that forms because of a high combination of high glucose with high protein, therefore reducing autophagy and not allowing the exosomes to be pushed towards degradation. The cholesterol lowering part is also important. That's because MVB membranes are cholesterol rich. A high cholesterol will favor membrane rigidity and plasma membrane fusion, which is not a good situation because the exosomes will be transferred over to the tumors. It's better in a low cholesterol state because that leads to lysosomal targeting. Also, EGCG in green tea and cacao polyphenols may reduce exosome release, But AMPK, if it's not reduced by high sugar, high protein together or combined together, AMPK can promote RAB7 dominance, which leads to lysosomal fate. Next up are some food suppression stacks against RAB27, because RAB27 basically strongly favors exosome fusion to plasma membrane and exosome release to tumors. So some good foods here for a plasma membrane cholesterol reduction uh, are beans, great northern beans, black beans, lentils. Um, so basically those have a soluble fiber, plus phytosterols reduce cholesterol in lipid rafts, therefore leading to poor MVB docking, since the uh, the rafts are going to be so low in cholesterol that it's hard for anywhere to dock, because there's going to be no surface for the MVB loaded with exosomes to dock. Some other good foods here for the same effect that those beans had are also oats and flax. Same thing, soluble fiber plus phytosterols. Next foods for lysosomal cholesterol clearance, therefore MVB cargo retention, are mushrooms such as shiitake and maitake, and then cacao nibs, and then dark chocolate, such as 85%, prevent exosome maturation, uh, and including fusion. So preventing the fusion. Okay, these foods will reinforce membrane cholesterol depletion. Therefore, it is harder, or that there's nowhere for the MVBs loaded up with exosomes to dock. It'll be like docking in air or in murky waters, not allowing exosomes to be released. And those foods are green tea with EGCG and berries. So there are various different berries because they activate AMPK, uh, therefore reducing acetyl CoA, therefore leading to less cholesterol in the membranes. Okay, the next one here is a critically important, is called actin polymerization, and that's needed for PSMAC formation as well as with the CSMAC, because if the PSMAC forms, then that's pretty much at the end of the tumor. And those foods are the ones I said already: mushrooms and cacao polyphenols prevent actin collapse, allowing immune synapse to form. Since the PSMAC, it is made of actin, so preserving that actin and preventing actin collapse will allow the PSMAC to form. So quick recap on the foods: the plasma membrane cholesterol reduction is done by great northern beans, black beans, and lentils. So that if the plasma membrane is reduced in cholesterol, that gives the MVB loaded with exosomes nowhere to dock, or more difficult to dock. Also, lentils, oats, and flax also reduce cholesterol plasma membrane. Next is a lysosomal cholesterol clearance and MVB cargo retention, which would be shiitake mushrooms, maitake mushrooms, cacao nibs, and dark chocolate. Uh, these prevent exosome maturation and fusion. Okay, EGCG and green tea and berries, the different berries, AMPK activation, therefore increasing autophagy. Um, Also, high glucose with combined with high protein will inhibit AMPK, because acetyl CoA is a result of high glucose, high protein combined, therefore acetylating AMPK, which is not good. Also, actin polymerization must be supported, because that will allow the PSMAC to form, which will be the end of the tumor. And actin supporting foods are mushrooms and cacao polyphenols, preventing actin collapse, therefore allowing immune synapse. So that's it for the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.